Pastor Anthony. This is Brendan, and we're on the next episode of our biblical story series, and we're talking about why in the world we would want to make better social and political change when indeed the Bible seems to say that the world is ending in destruction, Armageddon, and some really bad stuff. So there seems to be kind of a defeatist message, at least some interpret it that way. So why are we working toward more positive change in the world when in the end it doesn't look too good according to the Bible? So I'll turn this over to Brendan.
Yeah, you think you just perfectly asked my first question for me. If the Bible is filled with such apparent doom and gloom, why work to try to make the world a better place?
Yeah. A lot of people, and I think I held this view too, is basically, you look at the book of Revelation, you look at, Matthew 24, and it just says the world is ending, with all the judgments and the, and the wrath and all this kind of stuff. So why even try to make the world a better place? Some have said, why it's like people are just trying to make the world a better place to go to hell, in. And the answer is simply this, is that God's kingdom, since Jesus has come and the church is out on its mission, is expanding freedom and dignity to all humanity. And that freedom and dignity just doesn't take place within your soul. It's not the forgiveness of sins. It has social implications. And so if there's systems that are causing people to live in poverty, if there's systems that are causing people to live in oppression, if there's systems that are causing people to live in ignorance, or they're unable to gain access and resources to things that they need, we just simply can't say, you've got forgiveness for your soul and then forget the rest. And as somebody said, a hungry belly has no ears. And so a hungry stomach has no ears. You can't, address the gospel issues of just leading people to salvation, but not address the common needs of the common good. And so as God's kingdom is going forward, it has social implications, and it's always had for Christianity. Because that is God's kingdom. He wants to bring dignity and restoration from what is broken at every level of society. And so because of that, we have a strong stake, into seeing social change and social good to take place. We have a very strong stake, or else we've got a very limited, narrow view of the gospel at that point.
Well, you do mention that Christ will return and bring full restoration. What does that mean, and how will that happen?
Well, right now we're in the process of restoring that which is broken. We also know that we're going to be limited in doing that. And this is where in social change and politics, people become very disturbed and very bothered because they try to shoot or aim for things that right now just aren't possible. And they won't completely happen until Christ returns. There are certain things that won't change. There are certain sins and evil that could be called intractable. They're not going to submit to God. There are certain systems and people that won't. And for those that won't, Jesus will come and he will overthrow those systems. And that's why he comes, is to overthrow that which will not come into obedience to him. But until then, through persuasion, through love, through the gospel, through loving people for the common good, we are seeking to bring as much change and restoration before that time. And then what remains, Jesus will then overturn that which, overturn that which resists his perfect reign of complete peace, and he will overturn every wrong. He will bring complete justice and peace and establish righteousness in a way that will be complete that we can't know now. So it's important that we understand what we can do now, be very realistic, towards social change, understanding the fallenness, the sinfulness of people in this world. And we're not going to make a utopia. We're not going to make a heaven on earth. We're not going to eliminate all evils. And to shoot for that is going to then create a very oppressive system. And that's what communism and that's what extreme forms of socialism have sought to do. They try to force people into a compliance of a more perfect world, and that leads to a great oppression. The reason is because sinful people are the ones who are putting this forward, sinful governments, not Jesus Christ, and they can't do what only He can do.
Well, speaking of the here and now, the right now, you mentioned that we're currently in a sort of in-between time, an already but not yet time. Now, what does that mean? Can you go more into detail?
Well, Jesus said, at his crucifixion trial, my kingdom is not of this world. And if it were of this world, then my followers would be fighting for my life. But they're not, because my kingdom is not. But then he also said the kingdom of God is in your midst. So there's a sense that it's already here, it's advancing. People are coming to Jesus. There are changes which are taking place. There is positive advancement and good. But it's not yet complete. It's also done in this kind of thin veneer between democracy and the rule of law and anarchy. Our society is always teetering on that, and it always will be. And so it's not completely stable. It won't be completely stable until Jesus returns. But until then, we work to make our communities, we work to make our society a much better place with the gospel message that Jesus died, He buried, He rose again. He offers every person dignity in life, and that has implications all across the board for people. And so we want to advance that. But then we also realize that it's going to be very short of perfect until Christ returns and more fully and completely establishes that.
So how do we advance that then? How do we take the information from the article and from this video and live it out missionally?
Well, I'm going to look historically at the church. The church has been instrumental for promoting widespread literacy. The reason it did is because they wanted people to read the Bible. To read the Bible, they had to understand how to read. And so because that church strongly advocated, for education for everybody, because they wanted the Bible to be read. The church strongly has been advocated for medical missions, the access of medical goods and services, hospitals, and relief agencies, the Red Cross, and many others spread throughout the world. This is because of a Christian heart and a Christian influence. We could go on and on and on. And so as we're out spreading the gospel, as we're out passing on an obedient relationship with Jesus to our community, we also look in the gaps in the areas where people are needing help and people are needing services and people are needing hope in practical areas. And we want to use that to expand and to connect the gospel with the ongoing dignity, and restoration of people. And that's why, at Crossroads, since the pandemic, or the coronavirus, we've probably given out, $90,000 worth of food, to our communities in the last year and a half. And we've done many other things, but that's part of promoting dignity, and we want to see that continued. And we partner with all kinds of groups and services and agencies to bring and to work together for the common good, and using that as well as a platform to promote, the ultimate, most important message, and that is Jesus Christ.
All right. Thank you, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining Anthony and I today on the Biblical Story video series. Please subscribe to the Crossroads CCO YouTube channel, like, and share this video. Until next time.